Yeah, thank you, Karen, for having me. I appreciate it. This is fun
Oh,
to
my
meet you.
pleasure. I've been watching you for a while on LinkedIn, and when I saw that kid's book come up, I Believe in Myself, I thought, that's it. Damn it, I've got to get him on the podcast. And very, very glad to have you. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you for the support.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, Andre, you are in Tucson, Arizona. So, this is always it's always dicky. Anyone listening, just don't think that guests just magically arrive. There's a lot of time zone working out that we've got to do to talk to
I
each other.
know.
But so in Arizona, so you're a motivational speaker, a TEDx speaker, confidence and leadership coach, radio show host on 10:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. The Voice, and also
Yes.
106.3 The Groove, which I assume Arizona radio stations.
Yes.
You're also the author of 10 books. Six of them have been number one on Amazon, and one of
Yep.
them is I think it's only one, a children's book, which is the one that I was just referring to. So you've certainly got a lovely little package of goodies, and like you're doing some amazing things. So thank you for bringing good to the world. Andre, what led you to get into this field, like to do the work that you're doing? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I remember before doing all this, I was at one point really struggling with my life. Like after high school, I had no vision as to where I was going. I was lost. And because I was lost, this led me down a path of just like going to jobs that I really didn't enjoy. I worked a lot of call center jobs, which really was just not what I wanted to do, but it was paying the bills. So that's all the reason why I was doing it. And I was also extremely depressed because I was looking at myself like I only have a high school diploma. I have family and friends who are lawyers, doctors, engineers, surgeons, and I'm over here feeling like a complete failure. And so that led me down the path of drinking alcohol, smoking a lot of marijuana, taking pills while I was drinking alcohol, doing hard drugs like cocaine. At one point, I almost OD'd on cocaine. It was a really scary experience.
Wow.
So I was just in a wrong going in the wrong direction. And I was also like a person who was like a womanizer, always trying to find love in all these women who didn't love themselves. And then
Mm.
on top of it, I didn't love myself. So it was just pretty much setting ourselves up for chaos. So I was in all these chaotic relationships. I was a very angry young man. My parents were divorced. That was a big challenge for me. And another thing that I was doing was I was eating a lot of unhealthy foods to make me feel better. And now I was weighing 265 pounds and was even more depressed because of my physique. Yeah, so that's kind of like a little bit about like where I was at one point. And I remember this one particular day when I was just thinking to myself, like, there's got to be more to this life. Like, this cannot be it. And so I remember listening to this great motivational speaker by the name of Les Brown,
Mm.
and he said something that really touched my heart. He said, many people will leave the universe without a trace, and under their name, you can put not used up.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm,
Wow.
that really that really struck a chord in my heart. I said, I know that I have not been used up, and I know that I was meant for more. And I know that some of the audience members that are listening right now, I know that sometimes that might be happening to you, or it has happened to you, or it's happening to you right now. And you're telling yourself, I know that I was meant for more. I know that there's got to
Mm.
be more to this life. And you're absolutely right. Like, because that's how I felt. I was going down this wrong direction, and I felt like, you know what? I cannot, I can't continue on this direction. So after that, I kept listening to these motivational audios that really like inspired me and motivated me. And it was just like listening to this to motivate me because I never had anybody that really told me, hey, I believe in you. You can do this.
Mm.
So I felt like these audios were that motivational speaker that I had never heard,
Yeah.
and it came from just listening to YouTube audios that got me going in this direction of motivation. And they inspired me to do something that I've been wanting to do since I was 12 years old, which was stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And so I started doing stand-up comedy. I'll be honest, at first, like I was terrible. I really sucked. Like nobody would laugh. And I remember this one particular time, this sweet old lady was in the front. She was eating, and then she looked up and she went, and I said, "Oh man!" So that's how bad of that's how bad of a comedian I was. Like the lady was just like, "Oh my god, this guy's terrible." So so yeah, so I got but I was starting like my comedy, and I had a lot of criticism from friends. You know, they would tell me like, "Oh, look, he's trying to be the next G-Lo." For anybody
Mm,
that was wondering what G-Lo means, that means George Lopez. So they
yeah.
would tell me, "Oh, he's trying to be the next G-Lo." And then that criticism was really hard at times because I would be like, "Oh my God, am I making a fool out of myself for
Mm,
doing this?
yeah.
Should I give up? Should I not do this?" And so that led me down the path of like just saying, okay, where am I going with my life?
Mm,
And basically, like, I remember just saying, you know what? I'm going to continue to do this no matter what. I'm not going to allow this to stop me. I'm
yeah.
going to keep moving forward. And I still recall when I was doing stand-up comedy, there was this one day when I went there, and there was this older gentleman in the back, right behind me. He had a big hat on. It said "Happy his 70th birthday." And then I turned around and said, "Hey, how you doing? What's your name?" And he's like, "Oh, my name's Fred." "Oh, well, nice to meet you, Fred." And I said, "Hey, so like, happy birthday." And I said, "Hey, so how long have you been doing stand-up comedy for?" And he said, well, I've been doing it. Actually, this is my first night that I'm gonna do stand-up comedy. And I was like, oh my God, really? That's so cool. Like I was thinking to myself, I'm over here, I'm 29, and I'm thinking I'm too old to be doing this, or I'm being ridiculous. But I was like, this guy's 70 years old and he's doing it for the first time. So I said, okay, man, maybe I can continue doing this. So Fred, he went up on stage and he did amazing. Like he did so well that they gave him some extra time. And then when he got off stage, I asked Fred, I was like, "Hey Fred, so how did you feel? Like how was that for you?" And he's like, "You know what? I have a lot of money. I've traveled a lot of places, but I feel like I finally did what I've always wanted to do my whole life."
Wow.
And so I was like, wow, 70 years old. And I never saw him after that. I feel like it was like a bucket list type of thing. And but I said, oh my God, like this guy inspired me today because he gave me the courage to continue to move forward. Because I
Mm,
said, if he's 70 and he's doing it at this age, I'm 29, I still got a long way to go. So
yeah.
it was really just motivational for me to see this older gentleman to do that. And
Wow.
it helped me to keep moving forward. It's interesting how sometimes we find mentors and people that we could have never imagined that would have been a mentor.
Oh,
So it was just like a
agree.
beautiful experience to see him.
Wow. Wow. I love it. I love it. I've
Yeah.
seen, I remember, I know you're only halfway through your story to what you got here, but I just say, I remember reading, I've read a lot actually. Like the first thing I ever read was a man who was 80 and he wrote his first book. Like that was the first big thing that I thought of that I really, really, well, maybe I'd seen lots before, but it was the one I really grabbed onto. And I thought, 80, and he's writing his first book. And now I've seen so many things like people becoming nurses at 70 and people doing an art exhibition at 80. And it's kind of like, wow, that's I find that super inspiring, and
Yeah.
yes, you're right. It makes us go far out. Pull your bloody finger out and do something now. But anyway, we are. But yeah, okay. So continue your story. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
stand-up
absolutely.
comedy.
Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, I started doing stand-up. I was doing stand-up comedy, and then I remember my friend Dom, he's also a comedian. He was really good. He was always getting people laughing. And then he went up to me and he was very honest, very kind, but he looked at me and he's this guy from California, and he's like, Andres, bro, like your comedy, I'm sorry, bro, but it's terrible. Like he had like this really surfer voice, and he's like, bro, you gotta get better. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but you gotta get better. And I was like, okay, what can I do? And then he's like, I don't know, maybe like public speaking or something. I was like, okay, well, yeah, maybe public speaking. So I got into public speaking, and then I got better as a comedian. The old lady wasn't going like that anymore. I was getting some laughs finally. And then, but I fell in love with public speaking. So I fell in love with public speaking. And then I remember listening to motivational speakers telling me, hey, you should go speak for free at middle schools or high schools. So I started to speak for free at middle schools, high schools, and then eventually there was this lady that she talked to me and she said, hey, well, how much do you charge? And I'm like, oh my God, like you want to pay me? No way. And I couldn't believe it that she wanted to pay me. And then I gave her the price, and then she said, oh my God, that's very little. And I'm like, oh man, I should have told her more. But
Yeah.
I was happy. I was happy that somebody wanted to pay me to hear me speak. So I then started to like just keep speaking. You know, sometimes I would give for free, sometimes I get paid. And then people that knew me from back in the day were like, hey, like, how did you do this? Like, you've always been like a really like shy kid, and now you're speaking. And so then people started asking me about goals and dreams. So that's when I got it into coaching. I started doing coaching. I started to do it for free at first, and then started getting paid for it. And now I've been blessed to have coached business owners,
Mm.
entrepreneurs, NFL players, yeah, what's called college players. So just like a bunch of people that I could have never imagined myself ever coaching, you know, therapists that I'm like, for me, it was like, I'm just a kid with a high school diploma. Like it was constantly that belief that why would people hire me? But I believed in myself to do it. And now I've been able to coach all these amazing people. And so for me, as time went on, I was working at a job still, part time. I was working full time, and then I was doing part time coaching and speaking. And I remember the first year when I was doing coaching and speaking, when I made $10,000, and I was like, "Oh my God, I made $10,000 by myself! Like I did it!" I mean, it's obviously not enough to like survive off of it, but I was so happy, and I kept doing it. I kept speaking for years. And then eventually I started to see that my part-time income was as much as my full-time income, and that's when I decided to go full time. And that was like back in 2020 during the pandemic,
Yeah.
out of all the times to go full time. And and I remember I was so scared. I remember crying, having anxiety at times, just like so worried at night, up all night with my eyes just open, just thinking, "Oh my God, what did I do? Did I make a big mistake?" And all these things that were going through my mind, just self doubt. And I said, okay, well, let's see what happens. The worst thing that could happen is I'll just go back to a job that I don't like,
Mm.
and that's it. But I said, let's just take a chance. And I did take a chance. And then after that, that's when a lot of things started to happen in regards to um, writing my first book, The Morning Warrior Secrets, where I share a lot of my morning routine to people that has changed my life. You know, it helped me to just meditate, do yoga, and do all these things that have helped me to work internally. And
Mm.
so I wanted to share with the world. And it's interesting because when I was writing that book for like about, I don't know, I want to say maybe 6 months, I was just sitting there. The book was ready, but I
Yeah.
was just in so much doubt and fear because I put some stuff about me doing drugs and doing all these things that would cause shame. I just sat there, and then a good friend of mine, John, he kind of pushed me, and we pushed each other to write our first books. And he was like, "Just do it, man. Like, I mean, it's a great story. You know, you're not perfect. We all know that. That's okay." And I said, "You're right. You know, like, you know, everybody's crap stinks. So like, just like mine. So I'll just do it." So I did it. And then yeah, so I put my first book out, and then that's when I also started my radio show back in 2020. I remember that it would be me, my co-host John, our guest, and the guy in the back running the show, because we weren't allowed to be more than four people in the studio.
Yeah.
So it was just the four of us. We would be taking off our masks, and we had these like glass things.
Yeah.
It was insane. Just like during that time, it was like, my God, we stayed in the game. Like
Yeah.
we didn't hide. Like we didn't like a lot of people, unfortunately, you know, there was a lot of fear there, but John and I were like, you know what? We're gonna take charge. We're gonna take action. We're gonna do something. And we started that what's called the Common Good Radio Show, where we highlight the good in the community.
Yeah. Good.
And
Yeah.
so we wanted to bring some good, you know, because there's so much negativity out there. And John and I said, let's bring something positive. And we were there, and I did that for like about like 3.5 years. And then I started my own radio show now called the Hispanic Alliance Radio Show, where we highlight Hispanic owned businesses. I'm Hispanic, and also people who want to do business with the Hispanic business owners. So yeah, that's kind of like the story of like where I was, and like kind of like where I got to this moment. And now I've been so blessed because I'm so grateful that I took that leap, because
Mm,
now I'm meeting so many amazing people. Look, I met you.
yeah.
I'm meeting people like John, Javier. Like, I can go on
Mm,
with all the amazing people that I've met. Had I not taken that leap, I
mm,
would have never met all these amazing people. And sometimes we are so scared about leaving our comfort zone.
yeah.
Even though our comfort zone is painful, it's certain. Like, we
Mm,
know what to
yeah.
expect,
Yeah.
but what we don't know is if we go towards our goals and our dreams, like that unknown, like
Yeah.
how many beautiful things are just and beautiful people that are waiting for us. But because we're so much in our comfort zone, we don't give ourselves that opportunity, unfortunately.
Mm. 100%. I keep saying that to people. This is where we're similar. Like, and I want to talk about you. You do a lot for the youth, young people, but and I want to talk to that in a minute. But and our similarities lie in. Well, I've written this, I wrote this book, Magnificent Kids.
Okay.
It's about kids changing the
Okay.
world, which is stuff that you're interested in. Get off the bench. I wrote couple of years later, and that is
Yes, I like
exactly
that.
what you're saying. Get up and do that bloody thing you want to do. I'm a confidence coach and a
Yes.
leadership coach, and we both started our business in 2020, and I
Wow.
lay awake just like you did and thought, what the bloody hell have I done? What a stupid time to try and kick this off. And when I didn't have I didn't have depression or drinking or drugs or anything like that. So I was lucky, very fortunate that I didn't go that way, but I did
Yeah.
have all those bloody jobs, over and over and over, and
Yeah.
paying the bills. But when I look back, actually, they were all stepping stones. They were all, because I was a teacher for a
Yes.
long time as well at a tertiary
Oh, wow.
institute. And so that, when I look back at that, as troubled as I was at that time, I see that that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That
Yes.
was the foundation for it. So, and I do want to talk about your youth stuff, but let me just read out your book. So you've got 10, but a couple of them are morning warrior secrets, which is what you just talked about. Like let's get up,
Yes.
and I really believe in that. We get up and we walk 5 laps. We've got a big long driveway. We do 5 laps on the bikes. We do 3 songs dancing, and then we do on the row machine, and it's that kind of stuff. And
Nice.
when you miss something, it's awful. Like, you really feel the difference.
Yes.
So and
Absolutely.
I remember that thing about if I think it comes from the army or the navy or something, get up and make your bed. And
Mm,
some people
do
say,
something.
that's bullshit, but it's not bullshit. Like that, you
No.
just feel good, just that one thing. But anyway, a
Yes.
couple of other books, The Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement. So I'm kind of thinking pretty similar to Get Off the Bench, like
Okay.
that same kind of
Nice.
theme. Let's do, and do it now. Same thing. Secrets to overcome procrastination. When
Yes.
do you speaking of these books, and then the other one I want to talk about is I Believe in Myself, The Adventures of Abram, or however you say it. That's a kid's book, but let's talk about that in a minute. The Why is it that you're so keen on, well, getting people off the bench, which is ultimately what we're talking about? Like, why is it that is it because of your background and you've gone, holy shit, if I can do it, everyone can do it?
Mhm.
And I don't want people sitting in that space of, I can't remember what you said that quote was, but it was something like they're expired, or then what was it? They're not in use.
Yes, yeah, the that many people will leave the universe without a trace, and under
That's
their name you
right.
can put not used up. So
Yeah.
it's like, for me, a lot of these books that I've written is just like content that I've absorbed from, because I'm not, this is stuff that is like, a lot of people have talked about this, but
Yeah.
it's changed my life, and I want to just share what I know, because I know that a lot of these people, they probably won't listen to a lot of the audios that I've listened to,
Mm,
or read the books that I've read. So what I was thinking was like, these particular things that I've read or that I've heard of have changed my life. And I have some people who follow me, who like my content. I want to share that with them. so that
Mm,
I can bless them with being able to like read something like that. Or sometimes, people they can't afford to work with me, and that's okay. So I give them like a book, or I give them a lot of videos. I share a lot of content on Facebook where I'm constantly like just pouring out a lot of content to
mm,
help them get motivated. And hey, even if you can't afford me, I'm still going to give you free stuff. I'm going to give
mm,
you free information that I've learned that has changed my life. And if you apply this information, it'll change your life. So in regards
yeah,
to, like, for example, procrastination, I used to deal with a lot of procrastination. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I struggle with it, but
mm,
that's what makes us human. We're not all perfect. I'm not here to tell you that I'm perfect. I
mm,
still sometimes struggle with it, but I've gotten so much better at it because I've learned some of these techniques that all the greats that I've read their books or listened to their audios have helped me to overcome that procrastination. And then the blueprint is just basically a short read. They're short, right to the point. Usually
mm,
they're anywhere from like 40 to like 80 pages long,
yeah,
where I want people to read it and take immediate action. It's none
mm,
of this like, oh, I still have to go 200 more pages. No, you only have to go 40 pages and then you can get it done. And I've even had high school kids that have told me, hey, Coach Andres, because some of the kids when I go, they're like, Coach Andres, I read your book 4 times. And I'm like, dude, give me some. Boom, let's go. So it makes me excited to see even the young ones. They're like, wow, these books are cool because they're so like it's attainable. It's a goal that I can actually attain. And now they're happy because they're like, oh my God, I read my first book and it was yours. And I'm thinking, wow, that's really cool
yeah,
because I know for me, I read, but when I have like a short read, I love those. And so I wanted to kind of share what I love to read, just like some short reads, you know?
yeah. Oh, I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you
Oh,
because Get Off the Bench is quick. It was about 100 pages. I wrote that in about 4 weeks, and I look back sometimes and think, oh shit, I probably could have done better, but I don't care because so many people have said to me that's changed their life. They've gotten
yes,
off the bench because it's an easy read. And
exactly.
I've got several books in me. And I keep saying I'm only going to do short ones, less than 100 pages, because some people just don't bloody read them. And I'm a book addict. I buy so many books, like I love them. But you know what? As soon as I get them, and if they're 200 pages, I'm not reading that. And I just,
Yeah,
I don't, it sits in the bloody shelf, and I'll flick through it to see there's something exciting, or unless I've heard something about it, and then I look for something. But it's anything under 100 pages, I'm just bam, bam. I
yep,
love them.
me
And
too, me too.
same with writing them. Like I think, oh my God, I can't be bothered finding all this. And it actually causes me procrastination because, like I said, I've got a few to write, and it's kind of like, oh my God, I don't want to do all the 200-page shit. Then I'm going to find some fluff to put in there. And I don't want to put in fluff.
Right.
And then if I don't make it a big one, people are going to think I don't know what I'm talking about, and it's all this sort of crap. You and I think we're twins. I wonder whether we were, so I don't
Yeah,
know, same egg, just on different sides of the world. I don't
yeah,
know.
right. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Tell us about the book I Believe in Myself. Now, this is the Adventures of Abram. Am I saying that right, or is it
Abram.
Abram or
Yeah, it's Abram. Let me get I have
Abram?
the book right here. Let
By
me
the
get
way,
it. I actually just read today to about 60 kids. So it's right here.
thank you.
The Adventures of Abram.
Yep.
And this is actually this is my son, Abram. So
Oh,
the the illustrator, he illustrated the book based on pictures that I sent him of him and also my family. Like you can see me in here as well. I know it's a little bit hard to see with because it's green.
you got to
But
put in front of you. Put in front of you. Yeah, yeah, there
oh,
it
right
is.
there, there.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So there, if you can see right there, I'm right there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then my wife, and then my kids. But I even told them you kind of make me look like King of the Hill. I don't know if you guys remember the show King of the Hill, but
yeah.
come on, Bobby. Yeah.
So what's it about, and why did you write that one?
So it's a book about a young kid who wants to build a robot. He's having trouble with self-doubt. He's doubting himself, and throughout the book, he we talk about his struggles and how he doesn't believe in himself. But then he has a support system like his brother, his cousins,
Mm,
his friends, and throughout the book, they're constantly reminding him to believe in himself. And throughout the book, they're encouraging him so that they can help him. And then he builds this robot. He starts to believe in himself. He starts to get that
yeah,
confidence, that self-esteem. And what I'm trying to bring is just to like remind kids that, hey, there's going to be stumbling blocks. There's going to be times where you're going to doubt yourself, but making sure that you believe in yourself, you continue to move forward, and to also remind yourself that you have a support system like family, friends, uh, teachers that are there for you to help you. And it's just a little book, a short read. It's like a 25-page book, but it's just helping kids to believe in themselves. And today,
Mm.
the young ones today, they were just like telling me, I'm gonna believe in myself, mister, and I'm not gonna give up. And so cute. And I just see so much hope with these young kids, the kinder through fifth. There's just so much hope right there. Like they're still believing, they're still
Ah,
thinking that they can do anything. And I'm just thinking, like, wow, what if we could all live like that? Like I remember a good mentor
yeah.
and friend of mine, Enrique Feldman, who passed away a few years ago. He would tell me, live life like a child, dream like a child. Like if we were to do that, oh my
Yes.
God, we would
Yes.
overcome. What will people think or say about me? Oh my God, that would not be a problem. We wouldn't be scared of failure. We wouldn't be scared of rejection. Kids, they will go, they'll say, Dad, can you buy me this? Dad, can you buy me this? Dad, they don't care about rejection. They will continue to ask. But
Yeah.
we get conditioned after a while and then we give up. So
Yeah.
it's like live your life like a child. Stop worrying about what people think or say about you. It's like we grow up, we get out of high school, but we're still in high school with the paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like we still care about what people think, we still worry about them, and it's like it's needless worries,
Mm.
unfortunately. But that's pretty much what the book is about. And I also wrote it in Spanish, so it's in English and Spanish,
Oh, wow.
to bring it to the Hispanic community as well.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely love it. You're so spot on. Like when kids, and that's what I found with Magnificent Kids, and that's why I wrote it because I was doing a lot of work with in schools with behavior and autism, and some people were saying to me, fix these kids, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the kids. Like it's our system.
Yes.
Our system is absolutely crushing kids. They come in with all this gusto, and and I want this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be an astronaut. They've got so much.
Yes.
Like they can't even see why they can't be an astronaut. Just let me at it, And I'm
Yep.
sure, I'm sure that if we didn't squash the hell out of them, squash all their dreams out of them, we would have people that are. And I'm not going to say high achievers because that's our adult measurement of what's a good thing for, how do we measure how successful they are? So that's not relevant. But there would be so many kids that were doing what they love, what they would inspire them as
Yes.
adults, and if
Yes.
everyone was doing what they loved, we wouldn't have all these friggin' wars and all this division and blacks,
Hmm.
white fighting, and oh my God, religious fighting. It drives me nuts. I don't know why we have to be like that. And if we would just, it's because people are unhappy and they've had everything squashed out of them. Did like, just if we would, I agree. We were like kids. But a lot of people say to me, I'm 61. A lot of people say to me, you remind me of a 16-year-old boy. And I'm like, yes, yes, that's fantastic. That's
There you go.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I agree because there's a lot of people that, they're 20, 30 years old and they look like they're 70, it
Yeah,
just by the way that their demeanor is, their body language. And then I see people like you, 61, you definitely have way more energy than a lot of young people. Unfortunately,
yep,
that's what a lot of people are dealing with, but it's
yep,
like I want to live a life of energy. I want to live a life of happiness, of gratitude, appreciation. I mean, I want to bring that energy when I bring to the youth this morning. I mean, I was like, hey,
yep.
"What's up, dude? How you doing?" And we were talking, and they were just so happy. And then one of them, I remember, I heard them kind of whispering to the kid. He's like, "He's a good guy, I can tell." And I was
Ah,
like,
that's
"That's
good.
freaking awesome. That's so cute." I was like, "Oh my God, like this, it made my day just to hear the little one." And because he was kind of whispering to the kid, but he said it a little loud, and I was like, "Man, that's my dude right there." That's so
Ah.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love speaking to that audience.
Yeah, I love it. We're speaking about that energy. This morning we were dancing and we kind of do it, not just dancing, we do like aerobic, high aerobic stuff.
I like it.
And
Nice.
I said to my partner afterwards, I said, you know what? Sometimes we whinge about our achy knees, and that sort of stuff. And I thought, do that if we can stand there and dance like that, hard as hell for 10 to 15 minutes without stopping, and still be not out of breath. I said, I don't know any young people who have got that amount of energy. I actually just stopped for a minute and went, I don't know any young people who could literally keep that up without stopping or complaining or without saying. And we reminded ourselves this morning how, and I say we always talk about this, how important our narrative is, but we gave ourselves another kick in the butt this morning and said, no, hang on, we've been up the driveway whinging about our sore knees, but look at how much we're still doing. Look at how active we still are. Look at, I can do all the farm work, I can still lift incredible weights, and much more than young people could do, and I think
Yeah,
we said to her, we nearly went down that negative path. We nearly went down that whinging about our knees. We got to flip it back, hurry up and flip it
there
back
you
to
go.
how damn lucky we are. It's a to
Yes.
be so anyway. So you've served about 40, I think I read 40,000 youth in your community. So what does that look like? Because you're talking a lot
Yeah.
about
So
youth and I love it.
yeah, so it's and that's including like also just business owners, entrepreneurs, nonprofit organizations. Because I've been doing this since 2016.
Mm,
And so I've been doing it for quite some time. And every year, I'm serving thousands of youth
yeah.
in regards to like mental health. Like I talk about my story in regards to mental health. Today, I actually gave a presentation. It was like about maybe 30 kids about anxiety, and just how I
Yeah.
had really like, paralyzing anxiety to the point where it was suppressed for so many years that it became depression. And
Yeah.
at one point, just thinking about taking my life. I just struggled a lot. So I've been doing speaking like weekly, just like to my community, to the kids that I serve here. And I mean, it's been such a blessing to be able to do this type of work.
Mm,
And then on top of it, like get paid for it. It's just sometimes I pinch myself. I'm like, I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful. And I love what you were just saying right now about how we can complain about our challenges,
mm,
but then you flipped it. I love that because
mm.
it's like Tony Robbins says, where focus goes, energy flows. You
Yeah.
put your
Yeah.
focus on that negative, it will expand.
Yeah.
But if we start looking at our blessings and seeing
Yeah.
all the amazing things that we have in life, it will also expand.
Yeah.
And just today, I was talking to some of the youth, and I was talking to them about how you know it's like your mind is very powerful, and your mind is just like a land. In the land, if you plant a seed of apples, it will give you apples, which is
Yeah.
good for you. But if you plant a seed of nightshade, which is venom, it
Yeah.
will give you venom. The
Yeah.
land doesn't care what you plant in it, it will return venom, just like it will apples. And that's
Yeah.
what I told them that's how your mind works. You plant a seed of positivity, you'll believe in yourself. You plant a seed of negativity, you'll doubt yourself. And when
Mm,
they heard that, they were like, oh, that makes sense. Like
mm, mm.
sometimes like those simple explanations can just really transform a kid's mind. Because I saw one of the kids there, and you know how when you see that look of like,
Yes.
like it's
Yeah.
not like it's like, oh, okay. It's
Yeah.
like the insight really went in there. And that's when
Mm,
you start seeing that internal transformation happening before your
mm.
very eyes. Because this kid was looking at me like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I had no idea that my thoughts could make me sick.
Mm.
Because just like
Oh,
us, we could look like at our knee or whatever and say, "Oh my God, my knee's getting bad. Oh my God." And you focus on it, and your thoughts will actually make your knee
yep.
even worse.
Yep.
And so this kid was like, "Oh my God, like, okay, I get it." He was even taking pictures because I put this one uh, picture where it says words equal thoughts, equal feelings, equal actions, equal results. And
Yes.
it's just like a cycle like this.
I do
Words
that
equals
too. Yes.
yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the kid was like
Oh my God.
taking a picture of it. He's like, "Oh my God, like this is genius." And I told him, "Dude, I learned this stuff when I was like in my late 20s.
Yep.
You're 16.
Yep.
Like, isn't that amazing?" And he's like, "Really? You learned it that late?" And I was like, "Yeah." And you just
Yep.
learned it right now. You're
Yep.
far ahead of me, dude. And that's what I try to tell him. You're so far ahead of me right now.
Yep. But so many
So
don't listen. This and it's so. But anyway, that's the negative side of it. But it drives me nuts because it's kind of like I'm not listening to you, you old fart. I went into schools at one point trying to get the girls to believe they could be anything, and they're like, "Oh, who's this old fart?" Telling us what to do. But it's you can only lead a horse to water. And I think our job, me, you, people who do the stuff we do, our job is to
Yes.
show up and share. We can't convince, I don't believe in trying to convince anyone of
No.
anything. I like to stand in
Nope.
my conviction, and hopefully they take it. But we've got to show up, and that is our job in this world. And I always say it like this: if one person, just one person in that room does exactly what you said, and they have that light bulb moment and it changes something for them, wow, that is success. And that's why we show up. And in our entire lives, if we only impact one person, which I don't think that's enough,
Yes.
but if we only impact one person and they ripple that out, then we've
There
done
you
our
go.
job. And it goes back to that quote again. We've done something. Like, we didn't waste our life. We're not going to leave here without a trace, because that legacy is gone, even to just one person. But if
Yep.
you're talking about multiple, like I do, keynote speaking and workshops and all that. If you're talking about multiple touch points, and one person out of every time there's a session goes away, you're leaving sparkles
Yep.
absolutely everywhere. And it's,
Yes.
how could we not think that was the best job on earth? Like,
Right. Yes. I agree. I agree. 100%. And it's like I learned from one of my mentors. He said, just focus on the people that are paying attention. The ones that are not paying attention, they're not going to pay attention. And if you give them your attention, your negative attention, now you're taking away from the people that are actually listening to you. So
yeah.
what I've done is I've learned that, hey, there's always going to be a few that are not paying attention, and it's not the time for the message to reach them. But I'm definitely giving my all to these, because today I had maybe like about three girls that were kind of being a little loud, and then I just took my focus off of them because I was really engaged with some of these people.
Mm.
They were looking at me like, I'm here, I'm listening, and
Yeah.
I'm paying attention. And I
Yeah.
said, I'm gonna give all my energy to them,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna give all that love to them. And I'm also, giving them these ones that are not paying attention some love, but I do see that they're not as engaged, and that's okay. I've learned from the great Don Miguel Ruiz to not take things personally
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh
I
God,
just look
yes.
at it like, you know what? It's okay. It's all right. I'm not gonna allow this person to like ruin my presentation. I'm gonna just stay focused and make sure that I'm serving the other 27 that are paying attention. These
Oh,
three, it's okay, but these 27, they're gonna get all the good stuff.
you were we're so aligned. No joke. We must be living this almost like a lie, because I just did a workshop last week and I said exactly that to people. I said, I'm here on this planet to make a difference, not to make friends, not to, and like, friendships are great. I want people to like me, all of that kind of stuff, but I don't need it. And exactly what I said, if five of
Yes.
you in this room walk out and think Karen is an absolute wanker, she's an absolute dickhead, I'm completely okay with that, as long as one person walks out. And
Yes.
they've thought about it. And when you're talking about depersonalizing it, oh my God, I've been banging on so much about that lately. It's just like, if you're not getting through to them, or whatever track they're on, that's their business. Does that make sense? And that's their choice, and they're doing it because of what's in their life, and it's not about
Yes.
you. And if we continue to be me, they don't like me, they're not listening to me, but me, we are not going to operate at our full potential. We're just not
Exactly.
going to. And it's never about us. It's always
No.
about their inadequacies or shit going on in their life, or what someone else
Yep.
said to them, or their belief system. And you know what? I'm happy to be called a wanker if another person, which I don't think I am, but anyway, even if I am,
No, no, you're not. You're not.
someone's going to walk out changed. And you're
Yes.
talking exactly the same language. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you too. Bloody hell. With your confidence, when you say a confidence coach, I've got a thing that I talk about. I'm wondering whether you have a that sounded like we had an alien join us, but I think it was me. When we have a kind of like people grab onto formulas, like, or people grab onto some kind of acronym or that kind of stuff. One of the things that I use with my confidence coaching, and while I acknowledge there's 100 things that build confidence, it's not just a handful of things. The biggest thing I use is I have a cap and it's got CAP on it, and everyone says, well, you've got cap written on your cap. And I'm like, yes, I do. Yeah, absolutely do. And I use it as a gimmick because then people remember, some people go, oh my God, you look like such a dick. And I'm like, great. Remember how much of a dick I look. Take a photo of this. And it's because, and all the young kids say, can I have your cap? I want your cap, and this kind of, so they're remembering cap. But what it stands for is courage, action, and practice. And I say, if you
Mm,
don't remember anything else about confidence, if that's all you remember, call it a confidence cap and put it on. Pretend to put it on. Imagine putting it on. And you have to take courageous action and you have to keep practicing. And that's the only way, like if you do those things, you are going to build confidence. Because confidence practicing, it builds competence, and a bit more competence builds a bit more
yes.
confidence, and round we go until eventually we leave that circle with unconscious competence. We don't even notice we've driven. We don't even notice we're using our smartphone. We don't even notice we're putting the kettle on. Like it's all unconscious because we've done it that many times. So for me, I use that as the I guess the tip of the iceberg to say, if you can't remember anything else, for God's sake, remember this. And if you don't take courageous action, practice it, forget confidence, because they're not going to drop in your lap. It's just not going to drop in your lap.
Yes.
It's not going to happen. So
Yes.
do you have something similar, or do you, like, is there something that you just say as that top end thing that you hope will grab with people about confidence?
So for me, like, because I coach a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, and one of the things, well, actually, a couple of the things that I've seen that they struggle with is self-doubt and procrastination. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
help business owners with self-doubt and procrastination just to help them build more confidence, be more productive, and make more money. So
yeah,
that's kind of like my thing in regards to in regards to my clients. And a lot of the work that I do is just work on like what is that story that they continue to carry with themselves. Like
yeah,
it's that story from the past that unconsciously they don't even know that it's there, but it's
mm,
there. And
mm,
what I really do with that is I help them work through those self-sabotaging behaviors that they have on a consistent basis. And I like to work on their mind so that they can eventually start working on their time as well. Because I think that a lot of the time management is really not so much time blocking and all this. It's more like there's something there that there's like a
yeah,
block that's stopping
yeah,
them. So I like to help with my clients. I help them with that self doubt, and it's that helping them with that story, like because that story continues to creep up. And once we have a breakthrough in regards to that story, they can start to now take that action with confidence that they are now able to do it. Because if there's still self doubt, they're going to hesitate. And
absolutely.
that hesitation has become a habit, but
Mm,
that hesitation is also a fear because that body's already it's already conditioned to say no, 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 wait, you're going to get hurt, don't do it.
mm,
So constantly hesitating, we have to now start, as soon as we are hesitate, we move, we take
yeah,
action.
yeah,
And so for me, like that's the biggest thing that I've been focusing on when I go and speak to schools. The main things that I talk about is just making sure that we know where we're going, because when people lack clarity,
yeah.
um
Action
they're going to doubt
follows.
themselves. Yeah, yeah. So we need that clarity. And once we get the clarity, it's time for strategy,
Yeah,
action. And
yeah,
then, or when you're, like you said, when you're taking action, you build competence, you build confidence, and now you build excitement. And before you know it, you're on fire and you're
yeah,
doing the thing that you thought you couldn't do.
yeah,
And now you're just this person that is saying, okay, I can do this. I
yeah,
am good enough.
yeah,
And that's another thing that I talk to a lot of the audiences about is just that enoughness. And my bracelet, that's what it says. I am
yeah,
enough.
yeah,
I am enough. And it says, I believe in myself. And I
yeah,
give this to the kids as well of,
yeah,
because I hear that a lot. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. That I'm not good enough. I hear it so many times.
mm,
And it's time for us to start changing that dialogue and to also change that behavior that we have towards ourselves, because we are the meanest person to ourselves.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
tell I tell my clients, treat yourself like you would treat a good friend. When your friend is having a down moment, you're so good to get to them and say, "Hey, it's gonna be okay." But when it comes to you, you're like, "Oh, you dummy! You're so stupid! You did it again."
Mm,
Why can't you be like that with you? So
mm,
another piece that I teach is self-compassion.
mm,
Compassion towards oneself, because you can't be motivated if you keep beating yourself up, telling yourself that you're stupid, that you can't do it. That self compassion piece is so important, because if they have self compassion, now they can have compassion for others, because you can't give what you don't have. If you don't
mm,
have self compassion, you can't be compassionate to other people. If you don't love yourself, you can't love other people. If you don't have confidence and you don't believe in yourself, you can't help other people believe in themselves as well. So I
mm,
think it's really important that we start with ourselves, transform ourselves so that we can transform others, just like you're doing. You
mm,
transform yourself, and now you are able to help other people because you're giving them what you have.
mm.
And that's
Yeah,
what we need to do. We need to give other people what we have so that they can then eventually give it to other people, just kind of like that ripple effect that you said. Then
yeah,
they can start giving it to more people.
yeah. And ultimately, that's what we want. We don't need to serve,
Yes.
we don't need to be the legend in everybody's life.
No,
We want the
no.
ripple effect because we want let other people run with it. It's fantastic. You're talking about
Right.
that loving yourself and kind to yourself and compassion to yourself and all that kind of stuff. That is such a hard thing to do, because we've been conditioned. I don't know. It's for years and years and years and years and
Mm-hmm.
years.
Oh, yeah.
This beating ourselves up, and it's what I've found is it's very hard to tell someone just be kind to yourself. I mean, I'm not that stupid to do that, but you can't just say to someone just be kind to yourself because it, there's also that element that people have to be ready. People actually have
Oh,
to
yeah.
have made that decision. I'm sick of living
Yes.
like this. Or that I know there's more. Like you said at the very start, life can't be just this. There's got to be more.
Yes.
And I think
Yes. Yes.
and I'm generalizing here, and it's not every single person because sometimes you can say those things that make them go, ah, I get it,
Uh-huh.
and it unlocks them ready to receive the next thing. But a lot of people are they're just not ready, and it frustrates me because I care so deeply about them. I'm like, man, I wish you could see what I can see. But you
Yep.
cannot force them because so
No,
people have to
you can't.
be ready. They have to be wanting to
Yes.
change, and it's it,
Absolutely.
it's 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 sad. I find it really sad that I see so many really good kids, not kids, people, but kids and people, and
Yes.
they're just like, oh, I don't know, I'm like, why are you like one guy I'm working with, and he really without saying who he is or blowing his cover, he really values his kids and loves his kids, and he wants to spend the night with them, and his job is to pick them up at after school. But he's got this big thing, this guilt thing going on, like, but if I shut my computer at 3, because I'm saying to him, you shut that damn computer at 3 o'clock and you go spend time with your kids, but what will people say about me? And I'm like, but what time do
Mm-hmm.
you start in the morning? He's like, well, 7. And then you've done your eight
Yep.
hours. So shut your computer and go be with your kids because that's who you value the most. And he says, I can't because I don't believe that people will just be judging me and saying I'm not good enough, saying I'm not doing my job. And we're working on it. Do you know that it's a really hard
Yeah.
thing, and it's really hard. It's that one simple act of bang, shut it. But it's kind of
Yep.
all these stories that sit
Yep.
underneath, like I'm a fraud. People are gonna think I'm no good. People are think I'm bludging, and then we've got our own narratives about laziness, because I've got a narrative about lazy people. And I try to get rid of it, but it keeps coming back. It keeps smacking me up, There's and then if I'm ever lazy, I'm the first to belt myself up. Stop being so bloody lazy. Hate lazy people. Do the story just bangs itself straight back
Yep.
up again. So if we've got any of those stories, we're overabundantly, spraying ourselves with them, and it's a really hard thing. But as hard as it is, we're not going to give up. I'm not giving up. You're not giving up. Because
No, of course not. No.
it's
No.
I love getting over that line that you and I have gotten over, and so have so many other people, is that once you hit that point where you realize that you have no choice, but it's in a good way. I've stepped over the line now, and now my responsibility is to share it with the world. And there's
Yeah.
absolutely no going back, but you would never want to go back either. It's kind of
Oh,
a
oh,
line
yep,
you
yep.
thought you'd never reach, but now that you've reached it and stepped over it, it's kind of like that's that life back there. There's no way. There's no now I
Yes.
have to live
Yep.
it.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
And I
Yeah,
think
for
that's in
sure.
everyone. I think everyone's got that line, but a lot of people you just can't get to it. But I wish they would, because every single person is just freaking amazing. Like what we each bring in magnificence and uniqueness is, and oh my God, I'm going to write that quote down when we get off here, because that is just,
Oh yeah.
I'm going to share it with people, and because I think that is such
Yeah,
an
it's very
impactful
impactful.
statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, Les Brown, I mean, some of the statements that he made were like very powerful. And I mean, and the one that really like also stood out for me, that really just, I mean, this man just has a way with words. And he says the ideal way of people to leave this earth is to have their loved ones surrounding them, just saying goodbye. But
Mm.
he says, but just imagine, if you will, one day laying on your deathbed, and standing around you are the ghosts of the dreams, the
Oh,
ideas, the books, the businesses, and they're staring at you with large, angry eyes, and they're saying, "We came to you, and only you could have given us life, and now we must
oh,
die with you forever." So it's thinking, what dreams, what ideas are you going to allow to die with you? Or are you going to make the decision that today is the day that I'm going to start this journey of following my greatness?
wow. That is just as impactful, because you can actually visualize all these things, saying you didn't bring us to life. You were the one that
Yeah.
could, and you didn't. You let us die
Yes.
with you. Far out. Wow. Well, I have not delved into Les Brown's work. I know who he is, and
He's
I've heard
amazing.
him speak
He's
on
good.
podcasts, and I've heard stuff, but wow, I have not delved into it. But you've inspired me to really kick into what he's doing, because I love that sort of stuff. I love that. And I say to a
Me
lot of
too.
my clients, I'm going to punch you in the heart. I'm sorry, but I am, because you need to hear the cold, hard truth. And a lot of them go,
Yes.
ouch. And then they say,
Yes.
thank you for saying that. I actually needed that. And I feel the pain when I do it, but I think, fuck, if I don't say it,
Hey,
it's,
exactly. Then who will? Yeah.
yeah. Who,
So yeah, I
you,
love it.
you, you keep on that bloody story and shit. Anyway, so so you have you got any more books in your coming up, like in your mind? Because any more ghosts? Have you got any more book ghosts that are hanging around
Oh
saying
yeah.
you better bring
Yeah,
me to
yeah, for
life?
sure. Though, yeah, yeah. I have a few books that are in the works right now. I'm still currently working on them, so not yet announced anything yet, but it's a Spanish and English book
Yeah.
that I will be releasing. When, I don't know yet, but it's definitely in the works right here, right now. So I'm writing some stuff out, and then eventually I will bring it to life. But yeah, but I'm working on that right now, and and I'm excited to see what's to come. But I know that some great things are coming, and it's just a matter of just getting that rough draft in, and then the rest is going to be easy. But yeah, I definitely have a few books, and I also am working on my next children's book. We're just deciding what we're going to be doing it about, whether it's going to be around climate
Yeah.
change, global warming, or whether it's homelessness. We're still debating like what we're going to do, so we're talking about it. And then but yeah, another children's book is definitely in the works as well.
Well, I'm sure there's another 5 or 6 or 10 children's books in the works,
Yeah, that's the goal.
yeah, and it's not about going, I have to achieve 20 books before I die. It's kind of like, well, what's the next thing in the pipeline? Well, this is the
Yes,
next thing.
exactly.
interesting me and the next thing that I believe the world needs. So, this is the
Yeah.
next thing that I'm going to drop. I just dropped a gratitude journal, and and
Nice.
only because with my I've got a confident leaders program that goes for 6 months, and we meet every month, and there's coaching sessions and what have you. But we always do, and this is my fault, always do self care at the end, and this year I
Okay.
decided I'm not going to do it like that now, because it's kind of like we just sort of run to the finish line with a few
Yes.
random bits of self care and that. And this year I thought, no, because people, how can I say it? When we get to that, they're like, but I don't know how to be kind to myself. And I always think, damn it,
Uh,
why did I leave it till the last minute? So this year I
right.
decided, right, I'm going to make them up a journal, and a gratitude journal, and
I
it's
like
a
that.
little bit different, not just three things I'm grateful for. There's a lot of other, well, how did I care for myself today? How did I care for others? What are
Mm,
my reflections? And I thought, and as I was putting it together, and I thought, why the hell, Karen, would you just make this just for your leadership group? Why wouldn't you share this with the world? And so that was it.
mm,
I just stuck my barcode on the back, or the ISBN on the back, and bam, it's on Amazon. And I wish people could
awesome.
see how easy that sort of thing is. And yeah,
Yes.
you can be judged, and people can go, oh my God, not another gratitude book, all that kind of stuff. But who cares? It's my gratitude journal, and someone might go,
Exactly.
I want Karen's because her energy's in it, and everyone
Exactly.
that's doing it so far is going, oh my God, I am really thinking differently, and I'm just like,
That's awesome.
wow, yeah. So when we get to self care at the end, everyone's gonna at least have been practicing it for 6 months.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, definitely. Self-care is crucial.
Yeah, it really is. When none of us are fabulous at it, but as long as we're moving in the right direction in nudges, that's all that matters. So,
Exactly.
I well,
Exactly.
I had a last question to ask you, and it was at the end of your life. What do you hope to have achieved? But do you know what? Well, you can answer that if you want, but I kind of feel like you answered that in that bloody Les Brown quote. It's like, I don't want any ghosts hanging around my bed. But
Yes.
is there
Yes.
anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I would say honestly, just would really like to leave this earth knowing that I did my part in my community, in the youth,
Yeah,
in the people that I've served, that I did something for them that helped them, like you said, carry on that legacy of like people remembering, like, hey, you know what, this guy Andres, like this guy, he taught me this, and I want to teach you this, or just passing it on. Like my good friend Enrique
mm,
Feldman, who was just an amazing mentor. He lives on. His spirit lives on. Today, I was doing some of his brain games, and the kids were loving it. They were laughing, and they were laughing because of him, because he created that, and he
yeah,
created
yeah,
something that is still, it's still here, and
yeah.
I'm keeping his legacy alive because I loved him like a brother, and he definitely brought some great things with the brain games, and I still people see people laughing, and I'm like, my brother's still here.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about writing a book too. It stays. It stays.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
when
yes,
you go,
yeah.
I was just one of the things that we talk about in the leadership thing I put up, and it says who won the last Golden Globe, who was a whatever, who won the last Brownlow, which is our football medal in Australia, name two Nobel Prize winners, and nobody can. They're like, oh, was that I think that was. Now, I'm not dismissing their great work, because like what they've won, or whatever those awards are for, absolute fabulous outstanding work. So I'm not dismissing that. But then I put up a slide that says name a teacher that believed in you.
Mm, wow,
Name two friends who helped you through a tough time. Name, like that kind of stuff.
that's
And
good.
it's really
Love
good.
it.
And they're all just like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And part of that lesson in that is to say, don't worry about the certificates and exactly like you're saying. I didn't go to university either, and I had that same thing as you did. I'm
Mm,
only
wow.
high school person, that kind of stuff. And I still haven't got a university degree, and I'm still doing bloody great stuff. And I'm past that now, but it bugged me
Yes.
for years. But it's kind of like stop worrying about the certificates on the wall. Stop worrying about the awards. Stop worrying about any of that kind of stuff. Just focus on being that person that somebody remembers because you changed their life. Like that's leadership.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's and it really is. It's a very impactful activity or moment, where people are like, "Wow, yeah,"
I love it.
be, because I
That's
don't
good
remember
stuff.
those other people. Do and
Yeah,
yeah.
true. That's very true. I love
Mm.
it. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
No,
I
my
appreciate
absolute
it.
pleasure. Well, I was just about to close with where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook. You can find me Andres Ruiz, and then you can also find me on Instagram, Andres Ruiz Motivates. And then my website is ibelieveinmyself.org.
Yep.
And then on LinkedIn as well, Andres Ruiz. That's where I found you.
Yep.
It was great to connect with you. So you can find me there. And then my email is ibelievecal@gmail.com. So yeah, if you have any questions, would love to answer them. Would love to connect. And yeah, and thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll stay in touch, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Thanks for sharing all your great wisdom and the great work that you're doing. Really love it. Thank you.